Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Sean's Green Room Podcast. Please remember, this is not a comedy show. However, it's a show about the comedy business, where we attempt to pull back the magical veil on the comedy club brick wall, giving you, the listeners, an opportunity to hear the real stories from the artist and the industry directly. Your podcast host has been in the comedy club business for nearly 2 decades. He's worked with comedians like Mitch Hedberg, Bernie Mac, Dave Chappelle, and Jimmy Fallon. Your host, Mr. Sean Traynor. Today's special guest. The stand-up comedian has been seen on Laughs on Fox, Destination Unknown on Amazon, and HBO's Lucky 21. Ladies and gents, Mr. RAJ SHARMA.
Well, welcome out, ladies and gentlemen, to one new episode of Behind the Brick Wall with your host, Sean Traynor.
I like how you're doing that.
That was good. I feel
like
good.
You're introing yourself.
Hey,
that was kind of cool.
It was good. Oh, from the back. Well, ladies and gents, thanks for coming, listening to Behind the Brick Wall. This is a podcast to help people understand what happens behind the brick wall.
Yeah.
By brick wall, meaning the comedy brick wall. And ladies and gentlemen, my host today.
Your guest.
Yeah, my guest. Actually,
we can fix that in editing.
Yeah, post. Tons of posts.
Everything's going to be done in post. Everything's done in post.
Always everything. Mr. RAJ SHARMA from California. Everybody give it up.
Hey, hi.
Live studio audience. They're just really quiet.
Yeah, very quiet.
The show, if you read the lead in, it's about what happens behind the scenes, how comedy club work.
That's really cool because most people don't understand how difficult it really is to put on shows weekly. It's not. I've talked to people and I'm like, how hard can it be? I'm like, you just call these people. Like, I had a guy ask me at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood. He's like, you got Dave Chappelle's number? Can you call him? He's going to be on the show tonight? And I was like,
yeah.
I'm just the MC. Like, I don't know why you think I'm just going to, I can call Dave.
If I had that power, I'm going to use it for this Thursday open mic. Yeah. First of all, yes. Second of all,
I'm just hosting the Saturday 10 o'clock, and I know who's on the lineup.
Yeah.
And you do too, because you walk in and you can see it. And he's like, you should call Dave. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I'll get right on it.
Yeah, I got a friend named Dave Schipple.
Yeah,
he's a janitor down at this wild world.
He's in manufacturing, but hell of a guy.
This guy is really, really.
Yeah, but
not
I mean,
Dave
you guys
Chappelle.
have to deal with like not only the talent, but then their managers and agents and PR people and demands and hotel room demands and all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah, sounds like you've been in this business for
an
hour or two. I've seen your writer. I know what's in yours.
Lots of bottled water.
Yeah, that's lots of bottled water. It's really strange. I got to paint it all. I don't know. But it is funny because I'll get calls and people hit me up on like Facebook like, hey, can I work this weekend? Like, Like, no,
yeah.
like this is not how this works. You don't.
Yeah, I think when Dean Lewis, great comic here in Dallas, in his workshops, I don't know if he still does it. I hope he does. But he taught us comedy club etiquette.
Oh yes,
like what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, and
I still do it till this day. Now, we're now friends, and I can text you if I want to come to a show.
Right.
But I'll still tell you I'm coming. It's just a force of habit.
Right.
Like I will call ahead of time and be like, hey, listen, do you mind if I come watch so and so? And it's now I just the guys here locally. I've been here for the last few weeks, and they just show up to your show. It's very interesting.
They definitely need to take a comedy etiquette class. How work? I mean, it's interesting that there's so many things that comedians can literally do that will ruin their career.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
not be aware of it. Like, that's the thing. And
totally oblivious to just their actions, interactions with the staff, interactions with other comedians.
Yeah.
The intrusiveness of going to the green when they're not supposed to, or perhaps.
I saw that a few times.
Yeah. They just walk back there like, I've been in a green room before. I guess I can come back. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Would you please act like a human?
Yeah, we were told, because this was 2002, and it was, we were told, we're like, hey, listen, you guys can come to a show now that you guys are, doing stand up and you're on the scene. They're not going to charge you for the shows, but you call ahead of time, and you still ask, hey, do you mind if I come by? And sometimes they'll say no, the show's sold out and there's no room, or it's yes and we'll find you some space.
Right.
I remember we came. I don't know if you remember this. It was years ago. Paul Varghese is a great comic, and I came to watch George Lopez, and we were standing by the back wall, and his security wouldn't allow it. Yeah. So you had to find us 2 seats in that sold out room.
Yeah, which was really creative of me.
I don't know where they came from.
Duct taped a couple chairs to the roof, hung it with some chains. I mean, I had the chains already. That was my trunk, but that's a totally different story. It is fun. These guys will just show up and they just, because they hit the stage once, they think they are a professional.
Yeah.
They own the room.
Yeah.
Maybe they had one show that somebody laughed, and now they just kind of walk around like, hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
And I don't know how other clubs are. Like, I don't know if other clubs are okay with you just doing that.
You talking about like the road clubs, the little the smaller venues around the country,
around the country, around the globe. I don't know how they operate, but I do know. I mean, I've done enough improvs to know where when I started out. I'm so glad I got those rules. Like, always tip the staff.
Always.
When even if the club manager, I remember coming in one time and I brought a date, and so we were talking about Trey earlier.
Yeah.
And he comped the entire bill.
Okay.
And I firsthand got to see what audiences pay.
Yeah.
And it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So thank you for every single person that's ever come out to a show of mine.
Yeah. I about dumped one of my girlfriends once because I wasn't there and she got a tab.
Yeah.
I'm like, what did you? I'm like, oh, that's like 2 drinks. Like, oh my God.
We
expensive.
We got the tickets, we had dinner, and then we had our drinks. And Trey came back and I saw the bill.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, man, she better be really happy about this. And then he zeroed it out. So I just tipped 22 or 23% of whatever the bill was going to be.
Yeah, no, that's very decent.
Then I always make sure that, when somebody, whoever's taking care of the green room, us comics in the green room, I'm always making sure to tip them and ask how they're doing and be polite to them, because you know what? When there's a week that's open or there's a fallout, sometimes the staff is around and they'll get asked, like, who would you bring in?
That's the biggest and easiest way.
Yeah.
To open a door in a comedy club is through the hearts and souls of the wait staff. No, it's true. I remember
is true.
when I started the company, 19 years ago, I started as a server.
I know.
And if we had a fallout or an empty spot, the GM or the assistant GM or whoever is freaking out because they need to get somebody in there like now.
Yeah, immediately.
And they always turn the corner. Hey guys, who do you guys want? And it was always the nicest, the kindest comedian.
Yeah.
That was funny. We're not gonna put up just anybody because they're nice. But that's there was this comedian Keith Terry, and he got a lot of work because between shows, instead of being in the green room drinking, he was out there vacuuming, wiping tables down, pre-bussing, things like that. And I remember as a server going like, oh man, this guy's the greatest.
Yeah, that's really
like
cool.
I love him. Not only is he funny, but he appreciates what we're doing and he's helping us.
Yeah.
Man, I guarantee there was probably 10 or 15 times he worked the club because his name would constantly pop up.
Yeah.
But it's taking care of the staff. It's not being a nuisance. It's bugging the manager just enough.
Yeah,
but not being annoying.
There's a finesse to that though.
I think there is.
And I've seen it go both ways, where it wasn't bugging enough. So I saw a group of comedians like trying to start their own show, didn't bug enough, so they didn't get it, and then resorted to bugging too much.
Right.
And then that just shut down.
Right.
Because you guys as club managers, you guys shut down when you get by the 8th phone call.
Yeah.
That they haven't answered, by the way.
Yeah. At this point, it's not even ringing the full 5 rings. It's going, you've been pushed to the voicemail. It's like, ugh. Yeah, that was not even one full ring out of that phone.
That's when I would disappear for that month.
Yeah, no,
and
good
then come
decision.
back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Show up going like, someone stole my phone. I think they called you a whole lot of times. It's crazy, man.
And then I always would ask, like, if it was cool for me to meet that headliner when I was first starting out. I mean, I would come to you or Trey or Chris back in those days, and hey, is it okay if I go back there, or is he coming out after the show? And then it was either a hard yes or a hard no, and there was no like, hey, stick around and see what happens. It's like, hey, go away.
Right.
He doesn't want to be bugged, or she doesn't want to be bugged.
That's the thing. We know pretty quickly what the attitude is of that comic that weekend. And comedians are just like any other human. They are fickle. One week we have a great week, everything is beautiful and smooth.
Yeah.
Next time they come, one tiny little thing happened, and they're on edge and hard ass that entire weekend.
Yeah.
So pretty much that Thursday, that opening night, we know what we're dealing with for that weekend.
Yeah, I think you guys can also gauge when. Or do you guys still pick up, or do you have the car service now? Do you guys still pick up?
No, we don't pick up. We do car service. We're fancy.
Okay, because sometimes they'll pick you up. Like somebody from the club will pick you up.
Yeah, no, that was the enjoy that club. I wonder what that hotel, aka the condo, looks like.
It smells like weed. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
it smells like weed and pizza pockets.
Why is there so many socks in the corner? That's weird. We do car service. Funny story.
Because I mean, sometimes you can tell like a comic like how they're going to be when. Like, I've been told this, like how when they pick you up. Like I always. Yeah. I just ask about the city that I'm in. Yeah. So and it's fun because these people live there, so they can tell me all the little fun facts, and I can use that week when I'm working. It's
almost like you're preparing for a show or something. Boy, I really love it here in Boise. Yeah. This is my second favorite club here in.
Yeah, I was just in just a few weeks ago. I was about a month and a half ago. I was in Kansas City, and I didn't realize that there's the Missouri side and the Kansas side. Okay. And I just kept it was funny to the audience. I knew where we were by the third day. Right. But like first day, I'm like, I don't know where the fuck we are. I don't know. Are we in Kansas or are we in Missouri?
Is this Kansas anymore?
It was literally, this is how close we were. If I walked from the comedy club to the Wells Fargo across the street, Missouri.
No kidding.
Coming back, I'm in Kansas.
Yeah, did you?
So that was fun.
For an individual like you, did you bring your proper papers so you can cross that line? Because I'm not going to judge. I'm just saying.
I always have my papers.
Yeah, you do.
I have my papers in the shower. They're always on me. But yeah, so that's just if you're starting out, just listen to the managers, and they'll tell you they're not being assholes. We think they are when we're starting out. Like, man, you're busy. You're setting up.
Or you're not funny yet.
Oh yeah, or you're setting up.
Sometimes they're asking for stuff that they just aren't ready for.
Yeah, but you guys, like when they show up to the club, because this I know I've seen this. Where it's like, hey, is there anybody doing a guest spot? I'm like, oh man, you just shot yourself in the fucking foot.
Yeah, no. There will be. Not you. Yeah, it's
so yeah, just listen. If you're starting out, just listen to the staff. Like treat the staff cool. Ask for anything. A glass of water,
tons
a beer.
Of thank yous. Tons of thank yous.
Yeah, and make sure you give it time, but thank that specific club manager at the end of the night, or send an email.
It's a good one. I had this once happen to me, and this is by the way, this is universal information for the comedy circuit. This isn't look at the Dallas people. No, this is
all across the board.
Across the board. So I got done with a weekend once, and a comedian had hand wrote a letter and mailed it to me, just a thank you letter. Yeah. And it was one of those things. I hung it up on my board. You remember the board?
Yeah.
Well, that money I mailed myself and all that stuff. But it was really touching. Not the note, and the comedian wasn't amazing, but it was one of those things that it was like,
I'll remember
that time.
Yeah.
He could have sent me an email, sent me a text. Nah, this dude went to Hallmark and got paper and a pen, whatever those things are.
I remember there's one comic specifically because you told me about this years ago. Would send a little popcorn tin, and that kind of you brought that up to me. You're like, this is what he sent us after his week. Huh. When you start going on the road and when you start headlining, do something like this.
Just be memorable. I mean, that's you got to look at it as. I mean, granted. The comedy industry is probably the smallest community of professionals. But there's a lot of comedians. And how do you really stand out? Because, I mean, not everybody's funny, but there's a pile of them that are really, really talented. Yeah. And what's going to make you stand out from the rest of them is really just, being available, being there, people see you, doing a good job on the stage, being good with the staff, all those things we kind of talked about, not being a nuisance, but being remembered, you want to be remembered. Just do something that, that isn't illegal.
Don't mail a brick of weed.
Well,
I mean, to the home address? Not to the club.
No, don't do that. That's
not to the club.
Don't do that.
Do that.
No. It's fun. That's not really where I wanted to go. But I totally hear where you're going with it because that's exactly what this show is about. Is really what's behind the scenes. Yeah. So one of the topics I'm trying to change again on is they have this thing called road stories.
Yes.
Okay. So as a comedian, you guys do what we call the road.
Yep.
One of the things that makes comedians such amazing people in the entertainment business is the fact that you guys do the road.
Yeah.
And
it's not pretty
No,
in the beginning.
It
It's prettier now.
Oh, well, I guess I'll change that hotel. Try to make this miserable for you. Yeah. No, it's funny because you go to like went out to L.A. I was hanging out with some comedians out in the set, one of these shows, and I'm listening to all these actors like, well, there's not good food. They have no hummus and whatever their problem. And here it is, the comedians on the set are just like the most loved.
Yeah.
The crew loves them. Everybody loves them. Yeah. And it dawned on me. It was like, it's because you guys do the road. Yeah. You deal with all this crap. Yeah. A band, okay, if you're in a band, you got your drummer with you at least, Yeah. You guys are by yourselves. Yep. You guys are hitting terrible condos. You're not getting proper food. Some places, it's terrible. And what it does is it really humbles you as an artist. Yeah. And I think it gives you the advantage as your career progresses.
I can always tell who's done the road when I'm at a club.
Oh, yeah.
Because whoever orders the cheapest food.
Okay.
So because you get when you're starting out, and you're going club to club in your car, and it's taquitos and chicken tenders. That's what your diet.
You started off pretty nice.
You're starting off. I remember one place was popcorn.
Okay, I was about to say that's where everybody should start.
Yeah,
you start with popcorn on the road. Yeah,
but it was like chicken, the little 3 chicken tender with fries, like plate.
Right.
And I can see people that'll come in and sit down and go, "I'll just have the tenders," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, you did the road. You survived off those tenders."
We're so proud of you. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's that road. So I bring up this because everybody has hit the road.
Yeah,
has a road story. You don't have to drop any names.
No,
so we can protect the innocent. There's no innocence. Zero innocence.
There's you have the world famous the Tribble runs and
the Tribble runs.
The Tribble runs.
Okay. That sounds like a disease you got on the road, but
it should be. But there's classic stories about those where you show up to the club and the club hasn't been open in 3 years, and so.
But it's booked. This is one of the events you're supposed to be.
You show up and
you were on MySpace all weekend promoting this venue.
But for me, I have some. My first ever show on the road was at Froggy Bottoms in Lubbock, Texas.
Okay.
And
that sounds terrible, by the way. It sounds terrible.
It's closed.
Okay.
I was opening for Tommy Drake.
Okay. Tommy Drake.
Oh, great dude out of Houston.
I love that guy.
He's phenomenal. One of the funniest people around. And in front of me was a party of 18 cholos.
Okay.
That were celebrating their friend getting out of jail after 22 years.
Good.
And so
Did they have a banner? Like, did they have like a?
No, but there was one guy who was clearly the spokesperson for that group, who was telling anybody that would listen how this guy hasn't been on the outside in 22 years.
That's what we refer to it as, the outside.
Also, they would call it free world.
Oh.
So they'd go, he hasn't been free world in 22. And I was like, what does that mean?
You have to go to Google and you're like,
yeah, like Urban Dictionary.
And it just shows like this huge whale flying over some kid. You're like, no, I misspelled that.
I said free willy.
Yeah,
damn, totally autocorrect. And it was one of those. It was just fun. We had a good time. I bought a shot of tequila for the guy that came out of prison.
I don't even know this guy.
Yeah, and then I'm sitting backstage.
He probably made a license plate or something for my neighbor. So. I'm hoping they put him to. There's some kind of work involved.
And he's 22. After 22 years, he's in Lubbock.
Oh.
What's the difference between prison and Lubbock? You know what I mean? Like,
nothing. One girl. That's the only difference.
And it was very sweet. And it was one of those you learn on the road. Like, I bought this guy a drink, and I came back, and I'm sitting at the table. Tommy's done. The show's over. We're getting ready for second show. And the spokesperson for the group now comes over with a platter where everybody from that group has now bought me a shot of tequila.
Oh.
And there's 18 of them.
Yeah.
They each want to do a shot of tequila with me.
So that sounds like a really exciting second show.
And I had to, this is how, it almost turned violent because I did like a couple of shots with them and I'm just opening. So I was like, I just need to get through.
Yeah. I want to work again with this Tommy Drake guy.
Yeah, and I've known Tommy for a while by then. But I mean, I'm doing my 10, and I need to get the announcements out, and I need to bring everybody up and not sound like an idiot.
Right.
So I'll do like a couple of shots, and then the people that I didn't do shots with were like, "So you think you're better than?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I just have another show. You can't do it drunk. All comics go up on stage drunk." I'm like, "No, they don't. Some will, but not all." And then one of my favorite Rhodes stories ever. There's a great comic. He's a legend in our business, Tom Rhodes.
Yes.
I told him when I had started doing stand up, and the memory on that guy's phenomenal. Where he took me to Belfast and Dublin, Ireland, to Middle Forum, and it's 5:00 in the morning. We'd been kicked out of a hotel. We were with our buddy Damian Clark, who's this Australian guy, but he's on an Irish sitcom, and so he was on the show as well. So we were in his hotel room. We were too loud, and it's Tom Rhodes and I, arm in arm, walking down the streets of Belfast at 5:00 in the morning with a bottle of Jack, and he turns around and he goes, "Isn't it 7 years for you today?" And it was April 14th, 2009.
Literally. Yeah.
And it had been 7 years. And he just remembered from a past conversation that this is when I started. And we stopped in the middle of the road. It's 5:00 in the morning, and in Belfast, there's nobody on the road.
All right.
We just stopped on the road.
You and Jack and Tom.
Me, Jack, and Tom. That's the name of the book.
That is. It's a short book.
It's just
paperback. We're not moving it.
But no, he just poured a little shot in the cap, and is like,
here we go.
So we did a little shot in the middle of the street, and that was one of my favorites. When I thought I was in show business, I got booked at the show in East Texas at a place. What was it called? It was called Armadillo Willie's.
Okay, I have heard of Armadillo Willie's
in Tyler, I believe.
Okay,
and we were performing on the patio. And just to give you an idea, I drove all the way there, parked. It's next to a Pizza Hut, and the highway. No, not a highway, but like a main road.
The country road.
I mean, it's got
the thick country road.
Yeah, it's got like semis and shit going down it. But that's direct,
and way too fast for that kind of road too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's direct. So here's the patio ends here. Here's where you're standing with the mic, and that road is right there.
So you're literally having to pause for trucks.
Yeah.
You're like,
so you'll just be like,
then my girlfriend turns the corner.
That's exactly what it was like. You nailed it, because you just like you're in the setup and you're going to the punchline and you're like, oh man, hear it. And then I said this.
Oh, chuckle.
And I got paid. This was probably a month into me doing stand up.
Okay.
I got paid. I did 12 minutes. So it was probably a month, 2 months to do it. I was doing 12 minutes, and I got paid $100 and a chicken fried steak dinner. And man, I sat there and I was counting the 20s. Well, all 5 of them were there.
And of course, you were counting the 20s.
Yeah, and that chicken fried steak came out. I'm like, I am in show business.
Well, the sky's the limit at this point. So, yeah, no.
Nowhere to go but up, right?
No, honestly, nowhere to go.
Literally nowhere to go but
up.
Yeah, and I mean, but that was when you do shows like that, when you're on the road, it really makes you cut your teeth on how to get an audience's attention. So when you're doing bar shows, when you're doing small little comedy club in Tulsa or Little Rock or Boise and Des Moines, those audiences are like, hey, we paid money to laugh, so you better make us laugh. Here you come out, some people are like, oh, we're on a date. It's hit or miss comedy, whatever.
I hope she shows me her boobs.
Yeah,
or at least one of them.
Yeah, or hope she touches it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, but they're like, we worked all fucking week.
Yeah.
When you go to these small towns and you're on the road in the Midwest and you're going through, you got to make these people laugh, and it really helps you out in getting to a punchline, cutting the fat out of a joke, learning crowd work, learning how to do that with some level of skill, where you're not hurting anybody's feelings, where you're not being malicious.
Trying to keep your jokes original, but sometimes it's almost at that early part of your career, it's easy to steal unintentionally, and not that.
Yeah, I think
it's just like you're hypersensitive not to steal, so your jokes are even weaker because you. Yeah,
I think what for me was I had so much shit about my family,
right,
that I didn't, I never even thought of. It's never occurred to me, and I haven't done it in 17 years where I lifted anybody's material for any reason. But I mean,
I do all the time. Just
I could see why. I mean, I can see why people do it.
Yeah, because it's easy. It's easy and
it works.
They're not proud of their material. They're not proud of being an artist. I mean, that's what an artist is. An artist paints. They paint with their tongue.
Yeah.
And
and I just wanted people to know about Indian culture and how we are and how, how I grew up and how my parents, raised us and what we did do, what we were allowed to do. We weren't allowed to have sleepovers or go to them.
Okay.
Like people don't know that because it's here. Hey, I'm going to sleep over at so-and-so's place. No. It's not a big deal.
That explains why you never came over my house. Is that what? Was that the problem? I mean, sent you letters, invites,
and Polaroids.
AOL,
it was weird.
Instant Messenger, ASL. No, seriously, ASL.
And so I had all of that. I just wanted to get all of that out, so I was writing, as much as possible, as fast as possible. And then, but I also really like talking to the crowd. Like I really want to get to know people's story. And that's a tricky thing to walk on.
And there's the subject that needs to be attacked.
Okay.
Crowd work.
Yeah.
You were invited here because you're phenomenal at crowd work.
Yes.
There's
thank you.
In the industry. Let's just be clear.
Yes, like Dick. Yeah.
Yes. Did you not see the resume I wrote? Sent over to you, and I said,
"Did you not see my bio that my agent / wife sent you?"
Yeah. Did you not? No. It's okay. So in the industry, we have what's called jokes. Okay. We have set up punchlines. We have story material. There's also in this business. There's what we call crowd work.
Yes.
Okay. To be real easy with it, it basically means you talk to the audience and you interact with them. You sometimes circle back and use them in jokes or material. Yep. They become like tags. It's a very, very skilled position for you to be doing well.
Thank you.
It's not easy.
It is not.
And the second thing is,
I'm not even joking when I say this. There's classes in LA that.
No kidding.
No. I mean, it's just to get these kids money.
Oh, of course. That's what I was thinking. Wow, I can put another class together, get some more money.
I mean, and it's like $450. And they're charging like how to do crowd work. And I'm like, you can't teach that.
It takes a quick-witted individual.
Yeah.
I would say probably one of my favorite crowd working comedians is probably Jeremy Hotz.
Oh, he's one of the best.
I think Hotz is phenomenal at bringing it.
And I don't know what it is about the Canadian guys because it's Russell's great. Jeremy, brilliant. Ian Bagg.
Oh, yeah. Ian.
Those Canadian guys are really good.
I love Ian because every time he leaves, I talk Canadian for like 3 or 4 days. All my girlfriends, whoever my friends, whatever, they're always like, no, seriously. I'm like, what?
What's wrong, eh?
Hey. Yeah, I love it.
What are you talking about?
What is this? So, crowd work.
Yeah.
First of all, as a club manager, I don't like crowd work. Okay, I'm just gonna
most of you guys don't.
Yeah, it is. And I'll put it this way: if you are doing the crowd work, don't be surprised if I'm not putting on shows as MCs or features. Like I allow crowd work to be done as a headliner.
Yes.
But coming from my side, it is really, really difficult for me to control my showroom.
Yes.
When a comic is up there from the jump street, like the MC. Now in a show, you got an MC, first guy, features the second guy, and the headliner's usually the most famous of all of them. Not necessarily the funniest. Yeah. But he's, if an MC, the first guy up, starts doing crowd work, it literally tells an entire audience,
feel free to
just talk whenever you want.
Yep.
And since we're not a road club, I work with the big kids. We want to make sure our headliners are always protected, whether that's the limo we haven't picked up in, the hotel that has no bed bugs. We have changed a couple times.
Classy.
No bed bugs.
That's my rider.
It is actually. So when it comes to protecting them in their material, that's what we try to do as well. I want to make sure the lighting's working correctly. I want to make sure the sound's working correctly. Yeah. I want to make sure the audience shuts up and listens and laughs and then listens and laughs. That's it. I just laugh, shut up.
Yeah.
Laugh, shut up. And when a comic gets up and does crowd work, it totally makes it so we lose complete control because I can't shut them up. And I've had headliners literally fire an MC or a feature because they were unable to deal with the crowd work, because some comics are good at crowd work and some are not. So in the beginning stages, you didn't do so much crowd work in the earlier stages. As you built yourself up and you started getting to that spot where you had to fill 45 minutes or an hour, you started using that skill then.
And it was also, I had a very nice in-depth talk with Ian Bagg. Like, he was one of the first guys I worked with that I got to watch. Listen, fucking listen. I
could do it for 3 more days.
Because I'd watched, I was working with him for the week, and I'd watched his set after set after set, and he told me about what lead-ins were, and I was like, is this what you're doing? And he's like, yeah, I'm leading. Like, I know where I'm going. I know what the joke I want to do, but it's gonna, like, if this person doesn't get me to it, then that person will, and if that person won't, that person will.
Right.
So till you get to the person that is gonna get you to the joke that you want to tell,
right,
keep going.
Or sometimes you'll find somebody, you'll talk to them. And I've watched your material enough to know a lot of your jokes over the years. And you'll hit one, and you might be thinking, hey, I want to talk about the choo-choo trains.
Yeah.
Because that's his best joke, about choo-choo trains. Instead, you get this one, and they're like, I'm a doctor. And you're like,
can't do
scratch that, going to the doctor joke.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm a doctor. Boom. Drop that knowledge on them. And
or you'll get one, like the last time I was at the club, there was a guy, I asked him how they met, and it blew my mind, but they met because he got the wrong email address, and this is his wife. He sent an email.
Wait, hold on.
I'm not making
this
this
is
up.
an option. I could just randomly email chicks
this guy was in
dudes.
This guy was in India. She was in Dallas. They're both in IT. He misspelled the email by one letter or a number or something like that, and it went to this lady. They talked by email for a year and a half before any of them saw what each other looked like.
Wow.
And now they're married with 2 kids.
Wow.
And so you'll get that moment where you're
just
like...
curious. Are they both really ugly?
They're beautiful.
Oh, God.
Beautiful.
I just pictured 2 ugly trolls emailing for a year and a half with no pics. Are you kidding me? I feel like we go like 9 minutes without me sending inappropriate pictures.
And so you have nothing for that. So I just let him tell the story.
Yeah.
Because if you're like, hey, I'm going to do what are you, a doctor? Now I'm going to do the doctor jokes.
Yeah. Are you in your head while this is happening, thinking, okay, what the hell? Where can I go with this? Because this dude is like literally stepping on my show. I need to bring him back to comedy.
Yeah. And I was like,
say something dumb. Please say something.
No. He goes, for a year and a half, 18 months, we didn't know what each other looked like, and I was like, wow, what if it was a dude? You know what I mean?
Bam! Bring him back to comedy. Okay, well, where are you guys from? I'm getting the hell away from that other table over there.
Yeah. So sometimes you'll just get. But in the beginning, I mean, let's get back to the crowd work thing. You're right. I had club managers tell me not to do it, and it was fine. I mean, I was that guy. You know how I was. Like, hey, Raj, do this. You're doing 7. Do the announcements after that. Okay. And it was never an issue. Like, hey, man, you fucking forgot the announcements. I'm like, no, that's not. I'm just here to do my job.
Right.
Because that's what you said. Club managers, you hear it all the time, but you specifically are like, hey, man, just do the job until you get to that place where now people want to hear what you have to say.
Right. And you've heard me talk to I call them my children.
Yeah.
all my children of the Dallas DFW comedy area. But I always do talk to them about what an MC's role is.
Yeah.
What is the job of an MC?
Yeah.
Your job is not to be funny. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to be very clear.
Most people don't think that that's okay. And
you can be funny. I want you to be funny, but that's not your job.
That's not your job.
Yeah. Your job is to get up there, get the show going, teach an audience how to be an audience, laugh, shut up. Get through the announcements. Make sure you hype up the feature. Yeah. Make sure when you come back up, you really get it really hyped up for that headliner.
Yep.
And if you can make people laugh, wonderful. But no, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not going to book somebody that I give them 3 or 4 or 5 different weeks.
Right.
Trash as an MC, but they're just really good hype man. I'm like, no, you need to be my DJ. Like, just get back here and watch my door and see people. But when it comes down to an MC doing crowd work, I mean, it's instantaneous. Oh no!
I'm not booking that guy again.
I can't have him. I can't put you in this spot. You're making me lose control of what I need to control, and my job is to control X, Y, Z. And
it's also and if you're good at it, that's the thing. It can be used against you in that sense. Like, I've had comics tell me, like, "Hey man, the only reason you did so well is because that crowd work." And I'm like, okay, cool. And then the next day I would just not do it. and still do well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not.
But I think that's what's the beauty of crowd work.
Yeah.
And here's what is beautiful about it is don't do it until you're a headliner,
right?
Or you've got some major time that the headliner is cool with it. But basically, don't do crowd work till you're a headliner. But when it comes down to it, is you're giving a unique experience. Yeah. And that's what, Mencia. Okay, Mencia is a wonderful entertainer. Okay, he's going to get up there.
He does really well with other people's jokes.
Yes, I was more talking about how good of when he says a joke, it sounds like it's the first time you ever heard it. Okay, there's another one. Maybe with the next one. It's probably because it's not the first time you ever heard it. Yeah. But as far as he laughs. The same way, on a joke, and he'll be dying laughing. The whole crowd's like, oh my God, he just thought of this. Yeah. So brilliant, whatever. Yeah. And, third joke, throw another one out. Okay. All I'm trying to say is there's so many setups in there. I thought you're good at this crowd work. So when it comes down to a comedian having that experience with the audience members, the truth is that's never going to happen again.
Right.
Like that is a unique show, and that's what people want. It's like I could go on and watch, Netflix and throw Tone Bell's Showtime special or something. Yeah. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to enjoy it, but it's not the same as being there and watching it. And so that's that personal element a crowd work comedian can do. Memories, man.
I was trying to I wanted to record something for Netflix to submit, and my wife. She knows the business. I mean, she knows what they're looking for. She's over at the creative artist agency. So she's like, just take the crowd work out because you can't do a special with crowd work in it, which I don't understand, but okay. So we wrote.
Why can't you?
Because the idea is
you can't do the same show twice.
It doesn't
editing
translate.
Is going to be
it doesn't translate to an audience. A recorded special that has crowd work in it doesn't translate to an audience.
I bet Dave Chappelle could.
Oh, I bet he. But he can
come
do
on,
anything.
he's a god.
Yeah,
that guy can do anything.
Of course. And
Dave Chipple, the janitor.
Yeah, of course, he's a manufacturer. And so I wrote this hour that had no crowd work in it, and it was so funny because when you were known for doing something and you step out of it for a second, people don't know how to handle it. So my wife started getting emails like, "Hey, that show was really good. Why is he not talking to people anymore?
Yeah, did he have a stroke? Is there something wrong?
Did something happen? Did he get in a fight? Did something, have you told him not to do whatever? Yeah. Because that can happen.
Oh, and it has.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, a little crowd work action happening in another club. And one of our buddy comedians literally jumped off the stage and started attacking some customer. Yeah. Because I guess the guy was really funny on he couldn't handle. I don't know. But yeah, no, and there's altercations. I've had customers we've had crowd work problems with, and I'm telling them to be quiet, and then they get in like a spat with a comedian, and I'm having to kick them out, and then they're like, "Tell that comedian I'll see him outside. He's not going to talk about my wife like that." Yeah. Dude, these are jokes. And your wife's ugly, so it was easy.
No, I had one guy. He started heckling me, and then I don't know if it was his wife or his date, then proceeded to explain what the heckles were
to him or to you?
To me.
Oh, okay.
In very graphic detail, and I just simply said, now keep in mind they're saying all this awful shit, and all I said was, "What do I have to put in your mouth to get you to shut up?" And apparently,
those are fighting words.
Apparently, that was crossing the line. Even though he's like, "I'm fucking your mom," and I'm like, "Okay." Yeah. And he did. He walked to the front of the stage, and I said, "If you get any closer, I'm going to put the 20-pound base of this mic stand in your mouth."
Right.
And these people were buying merch after a show. The show went really well. They were kicked out. So funny because his two other friends stayed. Yeah. I'm like, "He's a dick. Sorry about that, bro." And I'm like,
the funniest part about your story is you literally found out what would take that you could put in his mouth to shut him up. 20-pound stand. That was it. Full circle story. That's all I'm saying.
And these girls came and bought some T-shirts and some koozies and stuff, whatever. And then they came back.
You sold koozies?
I did.
Oh man,
they were good, and it was so brilliant.
Were they?
So
what
brilliant.
was on your koozie?
One said "Fuck the Amish Mafia." They used to do a joke about the TV show the Amish Mafia. Yeah. And then one said, "You give me one finger, I'll give you all five," which is a joke about my mom not knowing how to flip people off.
Yeah, no, I remember that. That's actually two funny bits.
It was a 1 for 3 or 2 for 5.
Okay, look at you. You're running like some kind of numbers and stuff.
I know, man. It was weird.
This guy over
and
here.
then I had combo packages. If you bought a DVD and a koozie, I'll give you an extra koozie for free.
Oh, just drop an extra koozie like this. The little salt guy just dropping koozies.
And these girls came back, and I was like, holy shit, I'm going to sell more merch. This is going to be great. And they're like, hey, just to let you know, he's in the parking garage waiting for you. And he's asking everybody that he thinks is coming through there that was from the show if you were done yet. Oh. And I had to have security walk me to my car. And
that's the truth of it, man. I
mean, luckily for me, it's only been, there's like 4 times that I can think of in my 17 years of doing this.
Well, you're likable. Like, let's be very clear. You're a likable comedian. I mean, you get up there, you got a nice smile, you say fun things.
I smile like an idiot the whole way through.
You do.
The whole way through like a maniac.
Look at me.
That's exactly right.
That was what in the business we call an act out. So, yeah, no, you're likable. But there's. I remember one time I had Doug Stanhope.
Oh.
So I love Doug.
Doug. He's great.
Dougie. And I'm losing control because I crowd work comedian opened up the show. Okay.
Oh, no.
And I have this group of bachelorettes stage left, a table of 6 of them.
Yeah.
And whatever reason they think that it's their night is, by the way, if you're ever a bachelorette group and you're like, let's figure out something to do. Don't ever come to a comedy club. Like literally the last, I see them walk in and I just go, let's kick them out now. Like, I didn't know this is how it's going to end.
We're going to be kicking them out anyway.
No, I do. I actually stop and I grab one that looks like the most sober of them for the rest of the evening. And I'm like, okay, you're in charge. And I just want you to know you got your 3rd warning. So
and you haven't
even sat yet. I'm yelling at you as we walk you in with your ticket. I'm swiping you. But so I go to Doug and Doug's about to go up. And again, this is my job. I got to protect him, make sure he's aware. I go, hey, Doug, just want to let you know, stage left, there's a group of girls. I'm going to kick them out. Give me a second. I'm going to let the MC go back up and do a few minutes while I remove him. And he goes, no, don't worry about it. I got it. And I'm like, man. Oh no. Like maybe I shouldn't have told him. Like, what did I just do to my audience? My second job to protect my audience. And so he just gets up there and the crowd's like, it's Doug, stand up. And he just grabs the microphone, walks straight up to their table and he goes, who's the cunts? And he just starts, just every mean thing you could possibly. And I'm just standing back there like, no. Well, that's one's crying. Ooh, that's 2. And then they just start like, all the way out to the door. And they're like, I can't believe you let him. We want a refund. And I'm like, no. You wouldn't shut up. I'm not giving you a refund. But I'll let you come back to our magic show on Saturday.
My favorite technique that you do is because, the Addison Improv here, the door locks behind you when you go out. So if it's not popped open.
Wait, you paid attention to these kickouts?
Oh, it's my favorite fucking thing. He goes, can I just talk to you outside for a second? And it's like,
I can't really hear you.
It's so
loud in here.
I just want to talk to you for a second. You've been talking through the show, but can we just talk about it outside? And he'll let him walk in front of him, and then they'll go out. And the minute they get out that door, he'll pull that door shut, and that's
problem solved.
That's it for the night.
And I love it because then you'll go watch him from the box office, and then just be pacing up and down the hallway like, I can't get back in.
Pretty solid move.
Well, it's interesting because it's like when you kick people out. I mean, they're usually saucy. Like there's nobody comes in there like, I just got home from church and I was just reading and I wanted to watch some comedy. Like they're there having fun, having some cocktails, and sometimes these people just get a little like, I call them $30,000 millionaires. A little saucy. They think they, like I paid $9 coming to this. I had a promo code, whatever. And then they don't want to shut up.
They feel like they own a piece of the club.
Oh yeah, and then so you just kick them out, and now you're like taking their manhood. I mean, like they're usually on a date. There's some chick that they're trying to impress, and here it is. I'm like, you're going to time out. You can't, time to leave.
Yeah.
And so I kick them out, and they're always throwing fists. They just think they're so tough.
And this goes full circle to, don't make a club manager do that. Don't do crowd work until you get to the point where you can.
This is what I have to deal with these comics that do crowd work early in the game. It's exactly, this is what I have to protect. I have to protect everybody, and I got to protect customer from customer, because I have customers that want the quietness of the showroom, and they're telling this other table to shut up, and now I have 2 tables fighting, all because this guy thought it'd be funny to go, so where are you from? I'm like, God, did you just say, you son of a bitch?
Yeah.
Like,
I would only, like when you guys still had the 11:30 late show on Saturday, and most headliners didn't want to do it, so you give it to the local guys.
Yeah.
And that's when I would practice that art of doing that. Like I wouldn't do that on a regular show.
No.
Because I didn't I directly was told, do not do any crowd work when you go up there.
Yeah.
Okay. And it only had to tell me once. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be every club manager across the board.
Right. And I didn't learn this. I mean, I didn't
you had to
create
watch
this.
it.
This
You had to
is
watch it.
something I saw from being a server, having to do with because you know it's really hard to get tipped from someone getting kicked out of a comedy club.
Yeah.
They tend not to give you that full 18%. Okay, it's closer to no percent, and I'm trying to find them in a parking lot, and I don't want to get punched because it's really awkward. And you walk up again, big tab, never small, because they've been drinking, and now I'm collecting after we kicked them out. And all I could think in my head is like, I don't like that comic.
Yeah, so
that guy literally took my rent.
Yeah, and it is an art form, and if you're not, I mean, you'll know early on. If you're not good, stop it.
Stop.
Yeah, and then you'll get more work.
If I was a comic, I would just do nothing but crowd work, and it would be bad. That's all I would do. I'm like, where are you from? They're like, Cincinnati. I'm like, cool, nice. See, how long you guys been married? That's all I'd do. I would just
there would never be anything.
Give it up for screwdrivers. Anybody? Phillips head, flathead. Give it up. No. So anybody? That's all I would do for 20 minutes straight.
And you'd be the biggest thing in the world. Go viral.
Oh yeah.
And
Carrot Top's like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, you would be huge.
Okay, well, I appreciate you coming and joining. I got one last question before we bounce. Okay. This is a question I want to always ask: is what is the first or the earliest joke you remember writing that you got a laugh off of?
I said, "Here's a little public service announcement for all the non-Indians in the audience. You don't want to play Monopoly against us because we take the hotel motel business very seriously."
That's a great one.
Yeah,
that's a great one. I remember that one. That was really good. That was almost a closer at some point. That was a great one.
Yeah, because I would open with it, and I think it was you or Thrash, one of the two, was like, you've been opening with it. It's such a strong laugh. Why don't you try closing with it? Yeah. And then I would just, at the end of my 5 minutes, 7 minutes, or whatever I was doing at the time, I would just end up closing with it. Yeah. And it got such a great laugh. And then I had T-shirts made. With the Monopoly guy in a turban playing
yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
It just said Slumlord.
Yeah, Slumlord. Yeah. That's how you added a tag in there later, right? Yeah. It was your dad or
my
something.
My dad. It's like, what do you call yourselves? Like Slumlords, I guess, but you're my little Slumlord. Man. Yeah, and it's great. And I got a cease and desist from
Monopoly.
Yeah. From the creators of Monopoly. And I had to show them the right to parody thing.
Okay.
So this was via email, but it was really cool that it... I'm assuming something happened because it was right after I did a show in Boston, and I'd sold out of my shirts. Yeah. So I don't know how it got back to them.
Oh yeah.
But I got a letter, and I saved. I saved that email, but I was on an AOL account, so I don't even know if I have it anymore. But I saved that email for years, and I would just every now and again just go back and read it and be like, yeah, I did sell the shit out of those shirts. That was a good joke.
That was a good joke.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Mr. Sharma, Raj Sharma, ladies and gentlemen, you can see him around the country.
Please do.
He's a wonderfully funny comedian.
Thank you, sir.
If you're a club manager and you're booking, I recommend him as an MC or a feature. He's going to just make every evening wonderful with his amazing talents. Thanks again. Behind the Brick Wall. Thanks for being here.
Thank you,
Until
buddy.
next time. Bye, guys.